You got me right on the intro, Jack. Welcome to Wings on Katella, the podcast that covers Orange County sports, the Anaheim Ducks, the Los Angeles Angels. This is episode 15, and as the wonderful Zach Kavanaugh mentioned, the Ryan Getzloff episode, the Tim Salmon episode, and as Jack Janes so briefly mentioned, the Randall Grichuk episode. So, welcome to Wings on Katella. Glad to have you on board, presented by thesportingtribune.com. We have our regular panel, our full panel tonight. I'm going to go my left to my right because I'm on the far right. I see Zach Kavanaugh on my far left. Zach, what's going on, man? Zach Kavanaugh covers the Anaheim Ducks for the Sporting Tribune. You can find him on socials at ZachCav, ZACHCAV. What's up, man?
Yeah, man. It's the most boring time of the year for me, which is in some ways good because it's like I don't have to pay attention to everything. It's the absolute dead of the hockey summer. But I'd like a little more to do at this point, but can't complain too much.
And that's why we're going to come to you for all of our hockey stuff right now. All the excessive Anaheim Ducks news we're going to go to you for. Partially on that front is Jack Janes, who is also on my left side over here. Jack Janes covers the Angels and the Ducks for the Sporting Tribune. You can follow him at JackJanes_. Jack, how's your Friday going, man?
Going pretty good. Went to the gym early this morning so I can get it done before doing this, and then head into the field later, cover Angels, Mariners. Angels have lost 4 straight, which we'll get into, but not fun times in Halo land so far this week.
Yeah, you look swole. Hashtag
thanks.
swole. Yeah. And
today was leg day, so we're feeling it.
Oh, well, you look great. You look fantastic. What a stud. Speaking of studs, I was looking through my wallet, a stud detector, and it only went off when I saw Tommy Lee Murray. He is also on my left here, on my screen at least. Tommy Lee Murray. Thomas Murray covers the Ducks and Angels as well for the Sporting Tribune. You can follow him on socials at Thomas_L_Murray. The L stands for Lee, so we call him Tommy Lee. What's up, my dude? Tommy Lee Murray. What's going on, man?
That's good, man. Not much. I just saw Fantastic Four last night, and I'll quote the thing and say it was fantastic, but not much, man. How are you doing?
Not too bad. I got my Fantastic Four right here, I guess myself included. So
This
is my
sweet.
Fantastic Four in front of me. We are going to talk Angels. We're going to talk Ducks. Very briefly, before we get into that, what is your guys' general opinion on the band Nickelback?
I like them.
Not my
Overhated.
favorite.
Overhated.
Yeah.
They're not the best band by any stretch of the imagination, but they have good songs.
Yeah.
Yep. Love the deep tracks. Not a fan of the singles. So, big fan. On that front, Nickelback, let's go back to get our change, a Nickelback draft recap. Jack, you and I talked a little bit about day 1. We did not touch on day 2, and also quote-unquote day 3, which is no longer in existence, but we were going to still call it day 3, rounds 11 through 20. Basically, we just didn't touch on rounds 4 through 20. So that's what we're going to do today. Thomas, you were saying you liked the arms the Angels took on that second day there. Tell me a little bit about what you liked about the draft and maybe what you did or didn't like. I don't know.
Yeah, I really enjoyed seeing the Angels go the high school route, just throughout the draft. I think it started right with Johnny Slowinski in the 3rd round and just continued on through the rest of the draft. But if I'm correct, 11 pitchers total. 9 left-handers, 8 left-handers. Not sure exactly on the exact number, but I really like that they took a lot of arms in the draft, especially at the high school level. And, just after they recently opened that new pitching lab in Arizona, I think you're going to finally see good pitch, not that the pitching isn't really that bad this year because it's been pretty decent at times. But you're going to see good pitching coming out of the Angels again, and I think that's going to be a breath of fresh air for, just Angels fans in general, and, just kind of really get this franchise back on the right step forward.
There you go. Angels did have 21 draft picks. They signed all 21 of those draft picks. Realistically, I only thought there was like 2 that might be a question, and they were not questions whatsoever. Jack Janes. Same question to a degree. What did you think of the Angels draft overall, and what would you have maybe done different?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of what we've done different, what I would have done different, we kind of hit it on day one draft recap when we talked about it. Just kind of with the second overall pick, you kind of have to take the best overall player. It's not that often you get to pick second overall. And that's not to say Tyler Bremer's a bad pitcher or anything like that. He's going to be good. He's going to be solid mid-rotation, maybe a 2 guy in a rotation. But when you have the second overall pick, you have the chance to take a real difference maker. And I'm not sure if they really did that. Overall thoughts on the draft, much to what Thomas said, the prep arms are promising. The new pitching lab's promising. So we'll see how that turns out. But the only thing that's giving me hesitation is, when's the last time the Angels have drafted and developed a solid pitcher? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, Detmers looked like he was going to, and then obviously he's faltered and now he's in the bullpen. But, so a lot remains to be seen with the Angels.
That's fair. They're just, it always comes out the days after the draft, right? It is the things that you wish you knew that now you know, that you wish it would have gone that way to a degree. I have heard in the last few days that the Angels had a handshake deal agreement with a particular prep arm at $3 million. He got taken somewhere else. Probably wouldn't have made it to their third. They weren't going to take him in the second round. They were linked to Chase Shores so heavily. They were probably going to take him in the third round. It was a $3 million handshake deal. It sounded like he also had a similar deal with a team that was picking in the 55 to 60 range without giving that hole away. So they wouldn't have gotten him either way. And he is headed off to wherever he is headed off to, that player. So can't give away the player. That's burning a source. So would have been nice to have had him play. I think that's the biggest thing for me is when you look at value, Tyler Bremner compared to a Liam Doyle, a Jamie Arnold, a Cade Anderson, it doesn't bother me that much. I think he's got similar value to all 3 of those guys, maybe different upside gambles kind of thing. No big deal. I think taking Chase Shores in the second round limits your upside for the totality of the draft class. I think taking a reliever in the second round at pick 47 just limits the entire upside. I know that you're taking a bunch of high upside arms later, which is fine, and you're hoping that one of them clicks. But reality's sake, you've got 2 top 50 picks. I think you could hit with impact on both of those picks. I don't know what the impact. I think they limited their impact ability. So, Zach, any thoughts on the draft? I know that you're hockey. I know you're hockey. I know the draft is not a big MO. I know that I've probably burned you. I've probably given you so much draft detail. But anything you thought about the Angels draft at all?
I mean, so yeah, what stood out to me, obviously, we talked about the number 2 pick every single time that we've met for months now, and I don't think the name Tyler Bremner came up a single time when we were discussing that at any point. So for that to be the pick certainly caught me off guard, and I did my best to try to look through, and I went through your mock drafts to see like where was this guy slotted to be taken, and okay, I completely agree with what Jack said. Like, you're number 2 in the draft, and not only are you number 2 in the draft, but the Nationals ahead of you don't pick the guy that maybe people think they're going to pick. So you essentially have your own number 1 pick to pick anybody in the entire draft field, any level of talent, any possible. Who cares about the slotting or the projections or anything? Just you can get the rawest talent available, and you choose a fine player, seemingly, right? Like it's just an idea of you have this opportunity and you miss out on it. So, like, for example, just to compare it to what I know, a couple years ago when the Ducks drafted Leo Carlson, it was the Connor Bedard draft. So if all of a sudden, let's say the Blackhawks at that point, they picked not Connor Bedard, they picked Leo Carlson. Sure, whatever. And then you're like, well, you could pick Connor Bedard here. And you're like, well, I could, or I could get this guy. And it's like, why or I guess Caden Lindstrom. I don't know if that was the guy that was available that year, but just throwing out a name that I know.
That's fair.
You would question that, and it's just it's odd optically, especially for a team that is so in need of infusing its minor league ranks with something really exciting, to just go for another also ran college pitcher. Not that he couldn't turn into something, but unimpressive is what I would say.
Yeah, I think underwhelming is a big word that's used. And just to go on your Connor Bedard comment to a degree, there was not Connor Bedard is expected to be a franchise-altering player, and even if it was someone that's like half of what Connor Bedard is, right? I'm not going to say there was just no guy like Ethan Holiday, in my opinion and most people's opinion, was probably the best player in this class between upside and everything that goes with it, projection. Ethan Holiday probably was the 9th best player in last year's class, and just looking ahead to next year's class, I'm going to say he's maybe a top 10 pick. So it's not like this class offered you this franchise-altering player, right? And I love Ethan Holiday. I love Seth Hernandez. I've been very open about both of those guys, how much I really do like them. And I'm not saying that Tyler Bremner or Eli Willits or anyone is bad by any circumstance. It's just this was not a good draft class. It really wasn't comparatively. Like, Ethan Holiday and Christian Moore, I lean to Ethan Holiday, but it's not like there's a substantial value difference in the two of them as prospects, is the way I would look at it. Christian Moore easily could have gone number 1 overall in this draft, is probably the way I would put it.
Sure, but the point
on that
being
note,
Tyler Bremner is still not far below, but below all of these guys in terms of everyone's evaluations, right? So,
right, and that's
you're still missing out on somebody that's a better prospect,
limiting your risk.
Yeah.
And Taylor, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't Bremner kind of regarded as the top right-handed college arm in this draft class? Didn't I read that?
So if you went back to like March, maybe February, March, he was probably the best arm in this draft. I think I'd have to go back and think about it, but like with Baseball America, MLB Pipeline, etc., which, Thomas, we're going to pull that up on you. You're getting kangaroo courted. I want to say that Tyler Bremner was definitely a top 5 draft prospect at the start of the spring. He was probably it was because, Zach, to go back on what you said about if they hadn't taken Connor Bedard, etc., the thing I was telling, our buddy Jared Timms, who's been on with us before, I told Jared, I said, at minimum, when the draft lottery happened, I said, at minimum, you get either Jace Laviolette or Ethan Holiday. You get at least one of them, for sure, 100% for certain. Number 2 pick is the number 1 pick, right? Unless there's a Bryce Harper, a Connor Bedard, a LeBron James, I heard this Cooper Flagg kid is pretty good. I don't know. I mean, that's what I keep hearing. But, like, there's that guy. You still get the number 1 pick, essentially, when you're picking number 2. And, Zach, I agree with you. As much as I like Tyler Bremner, go Gauchos, by the way, and screw Long Beach State. On that note, I think Tyler Bremner is a great pick at 8, 9, 10, 11. The number 2 pick is really hard to swallow that pill when it's the number, and if you'd have taken Holiday, if you'd have taken Hernandez, if you'd have taken maybe Cade Anderson, how much more or less does it feel? Does it feel better? I just don't know, because I don't think this class was all that great. Like, comparing Tyler Bremner to Cade Anderson, Jamie Arnold, Liam Doyle, I don't think it's a substantial gap. And Jack, to answer your question, add Kyson Witherspoon into that mix. Another guy but another thing with Bremner, if you look at Tyler Bremner and you're watching the Mariners play the Angels this series, you watch Brian Wu, Logan Gilbert, Bryce Wilson, and George Kirby, all 4 of them. Just combine the 4 guys, you got Tyler Bremner. He's made it in a Mariners factory. He is exactly a Seattle Mariners right-handed arm. So, yeah, just, I don't know. I went on my little tangent. Sorry, boys. Any other thoughts? Angels draft. We're going to kind of move through some things, but Angels draft. Wow. Somebody has some air conditioning. Holy cow, Thomas.
I had to up the fan. It was getting hot.
Yeah. So, any thoughts, Thomas? You final thoughts at all? Angels draft?
From the Long
I mean,
Beach airport.
no, yeah, from the Long Beach
He
airport.
got mad, yeah.
No, I mean, honestly, everything that you're saying is right. I mean, the draft class isn't as strong as some people would have liked it, as it had been in previous years. So I mean, I don't really hate the Tyler Bremner pick because I'm like, okay, after looking at him, like, it makes somewhat sense. I'm like, seems like a pretty solid overall pitcher in general, and like at the beginning of the year, like you said, like he's regarded as one of the best right-handed pitchers that's coming in the draft. So when you look at those things, you just kind of analyze it. You're like, all right, you know what? It's not as bad as some people are making it out to be, and it could be a pretty good pick. I'd like to think that Perry, would continue the success he's had in the first round based off the last 3 years, and so I think with that, I just kind of trust the man who does it.
That's fair. And to lean on that, the Angels pick is going to be assessed differently than other teams because of how the Angels approach development. That's what I said for a long time, how much I didn't want the Angels to take Liam Doyle. There was a reason for that. It has nothing to do with Liam Doyle himself. That is a special arm. Like, he is gifted to a very high degree as a pitcher. If you'd have thrown him in the majors this year or early next year, it's a disservice to him as a pitcher. It's a misuse of the quality of his arm. I'm not so worried about Tyler Bremner. I think he fits a little bit of what their development is. I think Chase Shores fits that too. But you continue to limit your upside when you take these guys and you don't develop them. You don't take your time developing them. That's why I like these prep arms, is you have your time to utilize the prep arms. I noticed that we lost Zach real quick, and he just sent a message here. Jump out and jump back on real quick. So we have to spend a little bit more time on
We can stall.
the Anaheim, the Los Angeles Angels draft room, because we're going to move on to Anaheim Ducks. Let's just hold off on the Anaheim Ducks for a second, and we'll move on to the Angels trade deadline here. So a little bit of swing moving forward. Angels trade deadline. Obviously, the trade deadline is coming up. And Zach, I see you're back on. So we're pivoting back to you. We were going to pivot away from you. Now we're pivoting back to you. You look a lot better, by the way. You're not as fuzzy.
Thanks.
Yeah, you always look good. You just look better. That's it. So Zach, we are going to go to you. We're going to talk Anaheim Ducks here. I apologize for the pivot back. Zach, looking at what the Ducks have done this winter, biggest move, in my opinion, was signing Lukas Dostal to a 5-year summer. See, there we go. It's podcast time, right? 5-year, $6.5 million AAV. Zach, you and I were both on the call. Big moment for the Ducks. My general opinion on this is Lukas had the number one goaltender spot for the last year, 2 years probably to a degree, the last year for sure. Now you're guaranteeing him that, at least for the next part of the next half decade. What are your thoughts on the Lukas Dostal extension?
I think all things considered, it's pretty good for everybody. It gives the Ducks 5 years of Lukas Dostal, which you want. It gets Dostal into unrestricted free agency at the end of it, which he probably would have been one way or the other. You avoid the arbitration hearing, which everybody wants, and Lukas said it himself, that no player actually wants to go through the arbitration process, especially in hockey, where in baseball, you get the two you both present a number and the judge just picks. In hockey, the player comes with their case of, hey, I'm good, I should be paid this money, and the team comes with, well, you're actually not that good, and here's why, and they don't want to be told why they're a bad hockey player. So for them to avoid arbitration with both Lukas and Helleson is good. The money, I think, is comparable to where other goalies of his stature have been paid recently, and the fact that we've said this several times, the cap is continuing to go up, so that money will look better as time goes on. And he was going to be the number one goalie one way or the other, now that Gibson was out of there, and even if Gibson had stayed, I think they would have leaned on him more. But he's obviously a great kid. He told some great stories that I'm sure you want to touch on, but just I think for him and for the Ducks, this was the best deal to be had by all sides to get him locked in for a bit. because now it's not short term and he outperforms it and then you got to pay him more, and it's not super long term that you're saddled with it. If for some reason he falls off a cliff in 3 years, you're not saddled with this albatross for that much longer. So all in all, good for all sides, I think, and Dostal said as much.
Yeah, and Jack, I'm going to go to you on this. Lukas, I asked him, he leaned on his agent a lot when he was talking about the finances of this, the negotiations of this, but Lukas is going to make $100,000 more a year than John Gibson over the same span of time. Gibson $6.4 million AAV, Dostal 6.5. If you're comparing apples to apples, right? You're giving Dostal a little bit of a kick as the Anaheim Ducks. The negotiations went well. You didn't have to deal with, here's why we don't want to pay you this. Here's why you get paid this. So, Jack, what are your thoughts on the Dostal extension here?
Yeah, I mean, it was necessary. It was a necessity for the Ducks to do, especially trading John Gibson at the time that they did. They kind of gave, not that RFAs usually have any leverage at all, but they kind of gave Dostal a little bit more leverage by trading Gibson before free agency started. Just because, what was everyone looking for in free agency? They were looking for centers and they were looking for goalies, and there was hardly any goalies on the market. So by trading John Gibson beforehand, his value wasn't as high, and now you're giving Dostal a little bit more leverage in terms of contract or arbitration negotiations because the Ducks needed a goalie and they needed to sign him to be that number one goalie. But yeah, it's a fair price, 6.5 with the cap rising. I feel like it's a fair price. I feel like especially this past season, Gibson and Dostal had very similar numbers while playing a very different game. And I think Dostal's more conservative, always just being well positioned and not necessarily relying on freak athleticism and kind of, I wouldn't say flailing, but it kind of looks like Gibson's flailing all over the ice. He gets the job done. He's still a hell of a goalie, don't get me wrong, but I think the way that Dostal plays will hold up better health-wise than how John Gibson plays. So I think the money is going to be spent a little bit more safer, just betting on the way Dostal is in the crease.
And Thomas, looking at Dostal here, we mentioned he's here for the next half decade at minimum here, unless there's a trade, obviously, different items among that. But you look at Dostal the last few seasons, and especially last season, one of the best analytical goaltenders in hockey. The Anaheim Ducks, and we're going to talk on this a little bit later, is where they can improve, what else they have to do. But they didn't do a whole lot with their defensive core. Obviously, Drew Hellison also avoids arbitration at Zach, correct me if I'm wrong, $1.1 million for the arbitration?
1.1 per.
1 year?
Yeah. 2 years.
1.1 per, that's right. 2 years. So the only difference between last year's defensive core and this year's defensive core is growth experience, and also your forward core got a little bit better defensively as well. Like I have to say the forwards got better defensively, but do you think that Lukas Dostal is going to get better as this, like you're going to have guys like Mitkov and Zellweger, depending on trades, and Lacombe getting better every day, at least you hope they are. So is Lukas Dostal going to get better with a better defense in front of him as well?
Yeah. I mean, I can just say yes straight up. No, I think though it'll be, he's gonna get better as the season goes on, just because there's so many other things to factor. Young guys around him playing better. Some of the little bit of moves they've made throughout the off season. Just getting veterans. New coaching staff as well will probably help place him in the right spot. And I know Greg Cronin was a great defensive coach, and he really helped a lot of these guys, elevate their game last season. But I mean, yeah, I think just as the season will go on, Dostal will get, be a better defensive goalie, especially too, is I think one thing he's going to come in with is that confidence and just knowing that, okay, hey, I'm the number one goalie. Like, this is my, not my team, but this is my team. And, I'm the guy around here. And I think it's going to just, he's going to carry that confidence in. I think it's going to, results will show on the ice, where he's like, okay, I'm not splitting time with Gibby. This is my team. I'm out here. And yeah.
Fair enough. One more RFA extension that we're going to be looking at when it comes to the Anaheim Ducks, Mason McTavish. Zach, take us through a little bit about what's going on between the Anaheim Ducks and Mason McTavish. I got excited because I saw something about Vancouver Canucks maybe trying to acquire Mason McTavish, which I know is a load of crap, but I know it's a load of crap. I'm devil's advocate. Let me play my game. What's going on with Verbeek, Anaheim, and McTavish here?
So in terms of like actual details, we don't know. We'll never know. Even when they finally announce something and we ask, they're not going to tell us. But so basically the way that it sort of breaks down is based on previous RFA interactions between Verbeek and the Ducks, whether that's Troy Terry, whether that's Trevor Zegras, Jamie Drysdale. He is a hardball RFA negotiator, especially when they don't have arbitration rights. Like Troy Terry had arbitration rights. They agreed to a deal as they were walking into the arbitration room, and avoided the case altogether. Dostal, they got it done ahead of time. Hellas on the same thing. Trevor Zegras and Jamie Drysdale lasted until October of that year, right before the regular season started. So now you go to Mason McTavish, and it's clear that Mason probably wants a bigger deal, whether that's length or money, whereas Verbeek is probably going to go for a bridge deal, which, 3 years or less, because I think the way it works is Mason can become an unrestricted free agent after 4 seasons, so in his 5th season, and he would want a deal that's 4+ years, and Verbeek would seemingly want a deal that's 3 or less. Now, what that means in the big picture, because this keeps dragging on, we're going to keep seeing trade rumors abound, because he is a number 2 center that's young, that has ability, that has plenty of promise. Here's the real deal of it all, though. He's not going to get traded unless it's for somebody better. Like the Ducks are not in the business of trading their good players for parts anymore, or seemingly not. You're not going to trade away Mason McTavish for a package of picks and prospects. It's just not what's in the best interest of this team right now. Additionally, there's the specter of an offer sheet being made, but the Ducks have so much cap space that any offer sheet that's made, they will match instantly and just avoid the negotiation part altogether. So I think everybody that is like level-headed about this kind of understands that Mason McTavish will be an Anaheim Duck come September, October. It's just a matter of when that deal gets signed and how, and the length. Like, I think where they're ultimately going to end up, I'm trying to remember. I think Zegras ended up getting the bridge, right? And then he got traded. But Verbeek tends to get his way in these things. So I would anticipate 4 or less, years-wise. Money-wise is a different story, because Verbeek also doesn't like to pay out the money to these young kids until he feels they truly earned it or whatever. But I think it's a pretty, it's causing a lot of stir, because it is something that is very important for the Ducks to get done. And I think they will at some point. But the longer this goes on, the more talk you're going to get, and the fervor around it increases. But, what's going on? I don't know. All I know is that Mason McTavish will be an Anaheim Duck at some point. The details of it, though, are where you get murky.
¿Qué pasó? No sé. I don't know. Doesn't matter to me. I'm holding out. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Macklin Celebrini is going to be a Vancouver Canuck in like 2 years, so that's fine.
This is another situation too, where, like, back to what I was saying about Lukas Dostal, where they kind of gave Dostal a little bit more leverage. This is another exact same situation where, RFAs don't really have any leverage at all, but who else is going to be the 2C? It's McTavish. So McTavish is going to want to get paid like a second-line center. And Pat Verbeek has put himself in that situation by trading Zegras before getting this contract done, figured out that, now you don't have to pay him like a second-line center, but you told him and telling everybody else out there, this is our second line center, and you're going to play hardball, and it's just, I don't know, it's just not a good. I don't think it's a great business plan.
See, now I have a dispute with that, Jack. They have a second line center. They have Trevor Zegras. On that note, let's move on to Angels trade talk. Trade deadline coming up for MLB on Thursday, the 31st. I'm sorry, guys. I see all the smirks. I see all the eye rolls. I apologize. I've got to play it. That's a wasted. Hey, Ryan Poehling can go fill at center too, right? C2. There you go. Trade deadline
Granlund is your second line center.
Yeah, that's fair. That's true.
Yeah, replacement at least.
That's true. Trade deadline coming up on Thursday. Angels have. Do we want to call them pieces? Is that the term we're going to use? They have some trade chips to a degree. If they are selling, they have some trade chips. If they're buying, I'm curious to see why and what and everything. I can't. I mean, I don't think we need a show of hands. Angels are in a selling position. The head nods. We agree, right? This team is.
Anything else would be foolish.
It would be, right? And if it is anything else, we know where that direction is coming from. It's not the front office, right? Another head nod agreement on that. We know that if they're buying, that is not a decision that Perry Manassian or his staff made. And if they did, then hey, go for it, Perry. Whatever. No, this is a selling team. And Jack, you mentioned it. The Angels have lost 4 straight. There's some frustration. The Angels were winning games that they shouldn't have won for like a couple weeks there, right? And that was simmering them around 3 games around 500, right around that 500 mark. Over the last road trip between Philadelphia and New York, they lost at least 3 games that they should have won. And they got swept by the Mets. They lost 1 out of the 2 at Philly, which is a great mark. But, you lose 4 games and you could have won 3 of those. Even if you won 2 of those, it looks significantly different heading towards the trade deadline. And that's what was different about this team from years past teams, is that this team won games that they shouldn't have won, and they weren't throwing away games. We're just starting to see the signs of them throwing away games. At least that's my visual perception of it. I don't know if you feel the same, Jack.
Yeah, it's weird because it feels like once one area of their game starts coming together, another part's starting to fall apart. Like the offense has been coming along pretty well over the last month or so, and then the bullpen, which has been their stronghold, hasn't been as great as of late. The rotation's been inconsistent all year long. That's just going to be matter of fact what they're going to deal with the rest of the way. But the bullpen's kind of been shaky as of late. The offense, for the most part, has been fine. Last couple of weeks have been kind of but for the most part, it's been fine. It's just, how many? I'm sure I've said this before on the podcast. I just forget off the top of my head. But how many years has this team been close enough to where you can kind of get your hopes up a little bit and be buyers at the deadline, and then in the dog days of summer, they just completely fall apart? And it just feels like this is going to be kind of another one of those years.
See, that's where I agree and disagree. I think this team is different from years past. That doesn't mean that they are going to be making a... I agree in that, no, this is not a team that's going to be making a push for October. This is not a playoff team. They're not going to be a playoff team. They're not going... My argument is this team looks a lot closer to 500 and making that push to be a 500 team than any team I've seen probably since 2016, 17, roughly. Maybe that, years ago, right? Years and years and years ago. This team is different. That does not mean that they should be buying by any standard, including that 2023 team. That was an ownership decision. We all know it. Yes, they could have gotten a haul for Shohei Ohtani. Should have done that. Hindsight being 2020, should have done it. Realistically, this is your one chance to keep a generational player, get him into the playoffs. Ownership makes a decision. You keep your job by doing it, right? So that's how it goes. Thomas, we mentioned before we came on a handful of names. Guys that are going to be moved. Guys the Angels could move at the deadline here. We're going to focus in on we're going to focus in on 5, maybe add a few, but Tyler Anderson, Yoan Moncada, Luis Rengifo, Kenley Jansen, and maybe Taylor Ward. Which one of those do you want to take? Go ahead and run with it. And what do you think the reason for moving and the value return would be?
Yeah. The one name I think you definitely have to move. Honestly, I think you definitely have to move Moncada and Rengifo if the offer's right. Right now, Rengifo's bat is heating up as well. He's hitting 282 in July, and he's always been a hitter that plays better post All-Star break, except last year. Last year was a very opposite year for him. It was hot at the beginning of the year, and then he kind of faded out at the end. But yeah, he's always been typically a pretty good player post All-Star break throughout his career, and I mean. I know the Yankees are looking for a third baseman too. You can try to see if you can send Moncada over there. As much as Moncada has been a boost for this lineup, and I don't know if you guys see the jokes online. Angels win with Moncada around. He hasn't played enough though. He's been dealing with some injuries. He's been just lingering things, thumb sprain. I mean, every time I see him slide, his knee is like he's always grabbing his knees. Knee is hurting. I don't know exactly what it is, but I mean, I think it'd be a wasted opportunity to not see what you can get for Moncada or Rengifo. This might be a little bit of a hot take, but low-key, I think if you can discuss it over, I think you try to keep Kenley Jansen and try to re-sign him for next season. Or I think, as you were saying, Taylor, this team is different, and they're a lot better than years past. Young scrappy team. They're gonna lose games in very infuriating ways that you're gonna see a young squad do. But I think by keeping Kenley Jansen for a team that's window that we've said many times on this podcast, their window is next year or the year after. You keep a veteran like Kenley Jansen, who's just essentially he's the right guy to ice a game for you. I mean, he's 17 for 18 in save opportunities this year. He's been as good as advertised. I've always enjoyed seeing the Angels give Kenley the freedom to do what he wants on the mound, whether he wants to go box somebody so they don't give a sign over to the hitter. Notably the Dodgers series with Ohtani, but he's done it multiple times too this season and throughout his career. So I think that's a guy you actually should try to keep so you can re-sign him for next year just because I think he's been so important to this team and he can be important for next season and really come through and save big moments for you. This especially, again, another reason why I think you keep Jansen is just, you don't really know what's going to happen with Ben Joyce at this point. Guy can't stay healthy. And I think just committing to Jansen as your closer for the, next year, let him chase the save record while he's at it. It's just going to be huge for this team, and it could really be a difference maker in sending them to the playoffs for next year. So that's my takes. Yeah.
Breaking news, by the way. Breaking news.
Uh-oh.
Ryan McMahon traded to the Yankees, so that takes away a landing spot for Yoan Moncada.
Okay, just forget the first half of what I said.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. I'm trying to. You got that. I don't have that. So be it.
Well, Mark Feinsand posted.
No, it's fine. Yeah, no, I'm looking on my phone for updates too. So, that does switch things around a little bit on the Rengifo and Moncada. Thomas, you mentioned something. This team is building towards next season, right? They're doing well this season, but realistically, if something is positive for you in 2026 as opposed to 2025 or 2026, if you feel you're going to be competitive in 2026 and you don't have to wait until 2027, you should trade everything that you have that has zero impact towards 2026. And that includes, right now, Luis Rengifo at Yoan Moncada. And if you don't think you're competitive in 26, you don't need an outfield bat, you can trade Taylor Ward, right? If you feel that you have no competitive window in 26, go ahead, trade Taylor Ward for peak value. If you think he has value, you retain that, right? You have to retain that because you think you don't have to fill a hole next year, and you know what Taylor Ward's going to be next year for the most part. There is
we'll
one
miss
thing.
you.
What's that?
I said we'll miss you.
Oh, shut up. I'm leaving when he goes. You know that. Wherever he goes, I love San Diego, man. I love San Diego. I would gladly go to San Diego. There it is. New York Yankees acquiring Ryan McMahon. Sweet. There you go. So, ruler Yankees out of the Moncada and Rengifo comments because I was going to go with that too. Jack, we talked about the impending free agents, right? Moncada and Rengifo. One guy that we didn't talk about is Tyler Anderson. I have a concept here on Tyler Anderson, and just tell me if you agree with this. Tyler Anderson has close to near zero value when it comes to the trade market, right? I don't know any team that's going to be out there looking for Tyler Anderson and that's going to give up almost anything. So my question to you is, the 40 to 50 innings he's going to give you in August and September, just to get you through the season, are those innings he's going to pitch for you more valuable than any trade return you're going to get back for him?
I think so, because for multiple reasons. One, if you trade him, they already can't figure out who the fifth starter is going to be now that they sent Jack Ohanowitz down. They still haven't decided that because they don't have anybody ready in the minor leagues to fill that role. So if you create another hole in the rotation, now what are you going to do? You're going to have 2 bullpen games a week? That's just not feasible. Unless they really feel that somebody down there in the minor leagues is ready to take that step and pitch the last 2 months of the season in the major leagues, I don't think they have a guy that's ready for that. And another thing, too, I wouldn't hate it if they kind of do nothing. One, because they don't really have anybody that's going to get back anything significant that'll change the farm system in any way. And two, they have never, when's the last time they were close to a playoff spot? 2015? So,
yes.
I would think it would kind of be worth just kind of staying pat since they don't have anyone to really get anything value and not make a push to the playoffs, but just stay in it and play meaningful games in September. Not get, I don't think they're going to be close to a playoff spot in terms of they're not going to be 2 games, 1 game out of a playoff spot going down to the line, but they could see themselves within 4 or 5 games of the playoff spot or playoff spot still and kind of being in the mix all the way till about mid-September. And I think that'll be a valuable learning experience for the young guys like Ohapi, Neto, Shanwell. You can go down the list. I think that could provide some value as well. So I wouldn't be mad if they kind of don't really do anything.
I definitely did not think of that. Definitely did not think of that. Yeah, I mean, you get Ray Montgomery September 9th, right? September 9th, and he says, rah, 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 we're 4 games out of a wild card spot. You guys play your asses off. And they fall 7 games out of a playoff spot, whatever, right? But I like your point there. I like your point. The only this would be my counter, and it's where is your actual value? Is the 40 to 50 innings that Tyler Anderson could provide over the last 2 months? There's just more value in that than there is sending him off for some low-level project arm, right? Some guy in Arizona or Florida that's a low. Respect to that, but there's more value in retaining him and keeping getting your team through the bulk of it. Even if you were losing close to 90 games or something, just get through the bulk. Get through it. Be done. That's where I would look at Tyler Anderson. But the only counter I would have is you might get something for Yoan Moncada. You might get something for Luis Rengifo. And I'm not talking about a top 100 prospect. I'm not talking about anything like that. But you might get something that's going to impact your 26, 27, right? To some degree. You might get Ryan Zefferjan. I mean, look at the return from Luis Garcia a year ago. If you get something close to that for one of those guys, I think that's a solid return because I know that Matt Lugo and Nico Cavadas and Ryan Zefferjan haven't been up and haven't provided a whole lot of value, but it helps for next year. It helps for next year. And I don't know if Kenley Jansen could get a return close to what Carlos
Estevez.
Thank you. Carlos Estevez. If you get something close to what Carlos Estevez brought back last year for Kenley Jansen, I agree, Thomas. Kenley Jansen's awesome. Wish he would stay here forever. He's like one of my favorite players of all time, and you want to see him, and he's an impact in the clubhouse. If I can get a George Clausen and a Sam Aldegari for Kenley Jansen, I'm probably making that move. And I'm probably making it kind of quick. So, Zach, we have not heard from you. if you mention anything about them trading Taylor Ward, I'm going to kick you off this podcast, man.
No, they'll acquire the other Taylor Ward, the hockey Taylor Ward.
Or no, he paused.
Perfect
did
time
we
to
lose
freeze.
Zach?
You scared him.
No, he's just trying to think of anyone but Taylor Ward to talk about.
No.
Oh,
I can't stop it.
all right, give it
Wait.
one more shot, Zach. One more shot here.
Can you hear me now?
We're
I can
back.
hear you.
Oh.
We're back. We're back.
AT&T.
Yeah, no. All I did was
Oh God. Oh no.
I made the terrible joke that
Whatever.
they're going to acquire the hockey Taylor Ward, and then
Ooh.
get all of them. No, I mean I think I could go either way. You guys have all made very good arguments about guys to keep and just stay put. I think you have to, if you know, for example, like you're not going to get, if Juan Moncada is not your part of it going forward, if Kenley Jansen, for as good as he's been, if you don't think that he's part of it going forward, get what you can. Because I think the lesson to be learned from the Ohtani year, right, is that, okay, sure, I understand the idea of doing everything you can to keep him, but you got to get assets for stuff that you know isn't going to stay around. Like, we can say in retrospect, oh, we knew the whole time that Shohei was never going to stay, but even then there was still that inkling that he probably wasn't. So where the Angels are now, yes, they are. I agree with what Jack said at the beginning of all this, that as someone that's not there every day, this feels so much like every other year that they've had for the past 6-7 years, where there's the same ebbs and flows, and now they're in that same groove. But I also agree with what Taylor's saying, that now they feels like there maybe is a little bit more building forward with something. So all of that to say, if they're not integral to the future, if it's a bit player, you can trade them for whatever and either open that spot for somebody else to fill in next year, or you just get stuff back and you can try to build out the system. It's not a one fell swoop like you would get if you traded Ohtani or Trout to rebuild the whole system. But the fact is, they still need to rebuild the system in some meaningful ways. So get stuff and just see what it turns out to be, if what you have on the roster right now isn't going to be there long term.
I just had a concept, Zach, that you mentioned. So Padres are obviously like a candidate to, like, they're a focus of where Taylor Ward could go in the trade market, right? Is the Padres. Let's do this. Taylor Ward to the Padres for prospects. Taylor Ward to the Anaheim Ducks, the hockey player from the Kings,
For a bag of pucks.
and assign him to San Diego. Bite me. Taylor Ward's a great hockey player. Assign him to San Diego. Double down. I will move to San Diego, and we'll just move this whole thing down south. Just straight down the 5. We get all 3 Taylor Wards, same spot.
And then you could fire the 3 of us and just have the Taylor cast.
Ooh.
The Ward cast.
Well, Marty Caswell, I could replace you with Marty Caswell so fast. You don't even know. You don't even know.
I
love Marty Caswell. She's great. No, I love your point though. It's true. It's a lot of the same, slightly different. And you saw it with the Anaheim Ducks. You saw it this year. You saw exactly where they were. Is they're in the building process of getting to next season. If the player
it was
next
a
season,
different suck than previous sucks, if that makes sense.
You're
like they're bad,
you're building,
but they're moving towards something.
You're building to something, and now you have a target of what that something is that you didn't have before. And if there's things that you don't have that fit your target, you move away from them. So,
or counterpoint, they just keep doing what they've been doing the whole time, and they never get out of this rebuild.
Well, it's not a rebuild. You cannot call it a rebuild. They've never used that term rebuild, as much as they should use that term rebuild.
They
they've
didn't
never
file
used
the
that term
rebuild paperwork.
Yeah, reassessment.
I like to call it more of a purgatory. Just kind of there.
It's not untrue.
That's
not
pretty
untrue.
good. That's pretty good. 2 guys we didn't mention, and this is counterintuitive to what I was saying, and I'll let anyone take it. Joe Adell, Reed Detmers, two guys that are in arbitration. What are your thoughts about moving one of those guys at peak value?
I'll say Joe Adell makes more sense just because this is the first time we've ever seen a more than 2-month stretch where he's been a really good baseball player. That would make more sense to strike while the iron's hot and not risk keeping him and then he just falls off a cliff again, given his inconsistencies throughout his whole career. Detmers, I'm still a little bit more hesitant about moving just because selfishly, I still think there's something there with him. He's obviously been pretty good in the bullpen role since, he had the disastrous three outings where he couldn't get an out. And since then, he's been one of the best relievers in the game since then. I still think there's something there where he can be a solid starter. And I'm just not ready to give up on it just yet.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's your rotation filler next year, 100%. So, Thomas, I cut you off. Sorry.
No, you're good. Ultimately, both of them, I personally wouldn't do it. I wouldn't trade either. If I had to choose one, I would probably look at trading Detmers only because I don't know if we will see the success that he's had out of the bullpen as a starter. As much as I think Detmers could be, a really good starting pitcher and he 100% belongs in the bullpen next year. I think the thing with Adell is we've seen him turn the corner in two different ways the last 2 years. Last year was the defense. This year it's the offense. So I'd like to think that he's going to continue to blossom and find success in different ways that the coaching staff's been working with them. But ultimately, I wouldn't really trade those two. I would just, again, mostly just trade anybody with an expiring contract. And if the haul is right for Taylor Ward, enjoy San Diego.
Who's
hot
easier
take.
to replace, Adell or Detmers?
Adell.
If Detmers is a lefty reliever only, he's easier to replace. If he is what you project him to be and the upside is there, he's near impossible to replace. So it's more of internal projection is the way I,
Sure.
If they only see him as a reliever, that's cake. You can find something like that. Sorry, Jack. What was your comment?
I guess now thinking about it through, it's not really that much of a hot take, but all the smoke is Taylor Ward to, San Diego, this and that. I'd watch out for the Phillies because their outfield hitting has been atrocious this year. And I don't think they want to keep Max Kepler in left field for that long. He's played 90 games.
Yeah.
He's at negative .3 WAR. He's hitting 203 with a 666 OPS. I can't imagine his defense is that good where they're going to be okay with that bat in the lineup. I could see them pursuing Ward.
The one thing I'm monitoring is whether or not Jerry DiPoto would make a trade with the Angels. I would love to see. I think, obviously, Jerry's the one that brought Taylor into the Angels organization. There's interest there. They need outfield help. I think that's the story I'm kind of following on that front. Is Jerry DiPoto, I mean, the guy that makes more trades than anyone in baseball, is he open-minded to finally making a trade with the Angels after a decade? Because it's been a decade that he's been with Seattle. So,
does Taylor Ward walk across the clubhouse to the other side this weekend?
100%. Not this weekend. I don't think that'd be interesting, but not this weekend. Oh, hey, Josh Naylor. Did he show up last night or is he today?
No, he's supposed to fly in today.
Okay, gotcha. So, Thomas, sorry, what was that?
Yeah. No, I was just going to bounce off Jack and just mention it. Perry Minasian and a lot of trade history, too, with Philadelphia, so that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, go look for two rising prospects in the Phillies organization.
If Atlanta was good and they needed an outfielder, that'd be the easiest 100% call.
If the Angels are buying, look at the Braves. Which Angels prospect is going to the Braves? Perry's pretty strict with the AL East making trades only there in Atlanta and Philly. So, moving from the trade deadline to a different kind of trade deadline kind of stuff. Zach, you wrote an article. This was, I'm looking at the date on the article, July 4th. So we are 21 days, we're 3 weeks past this article being done. What do the Ducks do now? This summer has been, I don't know if I'm going out on a limb or not, but I think it's been underwhelming when it comes to the Ducks offseason. I know they were looking to make a big splash. It didn't happen. I know Mikael Granlund is their quote-unquote big splash, which is fine. There's some value there. What do the Ducks do now until October? And I'm not talking about filling out the San Diego roster with where do they improve? What can they do to improve this NHL roster?
So you say that the Ducks offseason's been underwhelming. I would say the entire NHL offseason's a little underwhelming.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's just a fact of, because in listening to a bunch of different podcasts and other people around the league, there's a bunch of teams that have money to spend and no one to spend it on. So the Ducks have, they don't have the most cap space anymore. I think they're second or third still. But what are you gonna drop $8 million on Jack Roslovic? You're gonna send $7 million to Victor Olofsson? There's just not the money. There's not the guys that deserve big money to be paid. And I think, could the Ducks add? I think the Ducks could add either one of those guys. Those are the names that I listed there in the free agency part that are still available now. That neither is an incredible player, but in terms of rounding out the depth of the third line, for example, I think either one of those, Olofsson's a pure shooter. Roslovic is a hybrid center right wing, can kill penalties sort of guy. They'd be helpful, but are they necessary to make the team better? I don't know. In terms of trades, it doesn't if they were going to make a trade, they would have done it at this point. I think there's just nothing of value, nothing out there that's really going to improve them. There was talks of Jason Robertson earlier, or JJ Peterka got traded. There's just not the big market this offseason to make any changes. And at the time, I outlined the staying pat option there of the what do they do as being this gosh, I can't believe they hyped this up. How can they just be standing pat? And then I think the aggressive, all the talk of being aggressive, as you see Pat Verbeek at the beginning of the offseason or before that, I think as they got closer to the actual offseason occurring, once they had done all their research and now seeing everything play out, I think everybody started to kind of settle into there's not a whole lot that can be done. The Ducks' moves are locking up Mason McTavish. That's really all that they have left to do, and that's, I think, all that's really going to be done between now and September. I just don't know that there's a lot to move mountains here, and you just hope that the coaching staff is enough of a move that the team improves, and then you go into the next offseason and with a better class of guys that are available, and then you can maybe make some bigger pushes forward. But I think you just hope that everybody improves is your hope.
Is there a way they could take on, and I'm trying to find a bad contract, because I remember I'm trying to find a Dustin Brown type contract that the Ducks could take on to acquire talent. I'm thinking maybe Brendan Gallagher. I don't know if it's a bad contract, but you're paying for a high end contract at a lower tier player kind of thing. And I'm thinking Brendan Gallagher, maybe Braden Shen. I just don't know if these are teams that are selling too. Braden, Tom Wilson, maybe, but I think a lot of those teams are also projecting up.
I think it just depends on what you really want out of next season. Yes, they want to make the playoffs. I think they've been pretty upfront about that, and every move this offseason is kind of we got to get this thing kicking up forward now sort of situation. I don't think you need to be taking on stuff like that, because the other thing is for as much cap space as they have now, as much as the cap is going up. Next offseason, they have like 6 guys that got to re-sign that are restricted free agents that all are going to deserve a decent amount of money. Whether that's Cutter, Leo, Jackson Lacombe, I think Mintyukov is in there too. It's a sizable amount of dudes that need to be locked up, and if you think that they are who they're supposed to be, then you're going to lock them up for a decent amount of cash. So I don't think it's in their interest to sort of load up anybody else. Because again, when I look at the only way that I can do this properly is I try to put in the lines into my NHL 25, the video game, and see and try to like sort them out that way. And I look at it and I'm like, unless they got Jason Robertson or something, unless they got a true top line talent, I don't know that there's places to slot other guys at this point. Like you're gonna send Ryan Strome. Like, yes, Ryan Strome at this point could probably be a 4th liner, but like when you start to manipulate things, Frank Vetrano, Ryan Strome, Alex Killorn, these guys are now getting shifted down the lineup a bit, and they make a pretty decent 3rd line. And then if you were to bring in, even like I mentioned, Roslovic or Olofsson or something, where do they actually play? Your 4th line, Sam Colangelo and Nikita Nestorenko seemingly earned spots. You going to push them out of the lineup? And same thing with there were people that wanted some defensive improvements, like picking up a veteran D. What are you going to do? You going to send Pavel Mintyukov and Olen Zellweger back to the eternal healthy scratch line? Like, there's just not moves to be made. Is kind of the long and the short of it.
That's fair. That's why I picked Gallagher, just because his contract ends next year, and he's a 6.5 AAV next year. You know, it's like I picked a big contract ending soon.
He's important to Montreal too. Yep. Like they
right, and Montreal's on the you know, they're
on their own.
I mean, and you and I have had this talk before of I want you know, line 1 in San Diego. I want that to be better than the 3rd line for the Kings or the Sharks. I want my 4th line to be better than everyone else's 3rd line to be better than everyone's 2nd line, etc. I think financially the Ducks have a point to where they can do that. They can make they have 4 good lines, right? You mentioned it. You've got talent at each line. You've got goal scoring. You've got value at each line. Each defensive pairing has value. I still want to improve. And it's not just that, hey, we're finally looking like a playoff team on paper. I want to get this team to, hey, we might be able to make the Western Conference Finals. We might be able to skate with Edmonton. We might be able to skate with Edmonton. We can skate with whoever.
You're jumping ahead, though. You're jumping ahead of the line. They got to get to the playoffs first.
Oh, that's true. No, that's true.
Like, I think what the real deal is now, I think they want to see what all of these guys will do under Joel Quenneville. If everybody improves like they think they're going to improve, if Joel Quenneville changes the focus of how this team plays enough to make them a more competitive, you know, playoff contending type team, then you can start building on top of that. Then you can say, hey, you know, we really love, like, Olen Zellweger is a great piece, but he doesn't fit with what we want to do. And so now that we've upgraded his value a little bit, we can trade him for somebody that's going to make a bigger impact, or you know, any of these guys up and down the lineup. So I think right now it's patience. It's see how things play out, and then when we get to the next trade deadline, then we can talk about moving guys and seeing who fits, who doesn't, and how, and ultimately who's available. Because we know who's going to be available in free agency, or at least we think. And I think that's another thing Verbeek learned this year, as Jack was there when we sort of learned it, that like all these guys we expected to be available on July 1st were not available on July 1st. They all got locked up ahead of time. And so you can't count on that stuff. So I think it depends on how the market shapes up over the next year in some of that way, and just how this team shapes up over the next year. Fair.
The irreplaceable Zach Kavanaugh. I apologize for any comments I made prior that said you were not irreplaceable. You are irreplaceable.
Gonna option you to the Tulsa Oilers, Taylor.
Dude, I want my Tulsa Oilers line 1 to be better than the Ontario Reign third line, man. That's where I'm at with it. Yeah, I was going to ask you who the ECHL affiliate was, because I was going to say about fill in depth for San Diego, and I was like, ECHL. I'm like, are we really going to go there? But we really went there.
They assign guys to Tulsa once in a while, but they don't own the team the same way they own San Diego. So it's bits and pieces. That's where they put the extra goaltenders. Is Tulsa?
No, Jason Christie is not the coach anymore. Jason Christie was there forever. It's Rob Murray. Rob Murray, head coach of the Tulsa Oilers. Fun stuff. Did not have ECHL on the bingo card today, guys. Jack, Thomas, any thoughts here? And let's just eliminate any mention of a young man from North LA by the last name Robertson. It's not happening. He ain't coming.
One thing I am interested in is the Florida Panthers are $3.75 million over the cap. So they're going to have to get under. And I'm looking at their Puckpedia page right now, and pretty much everybody of significance has a no movement clause or a modified no trade clause. So it's going to be tough to move any of the big contracts, and I don't think they really want to move any of the big contracts anyway. So the guys I'm looking at, I mean, I don't see them moving Anton Lundell. He's 23. He's a center. Evan Rodriguez could be moved. He's making $3 million a year. He's 31. But that you're still, 0.75 million over the cap. So you're going to move somebody else. So, and everybody else isn't really making that much money on the forward group to really make a difference. On the back end, Nico Mikkola, he's making $2.5 million a year. But even then, it's Dmitry Kulikov's only making $1 million a year. It's like, I don't know what they're going to do. But they're going to be a team to watch this winter. This summer. Sorry, Zach. I see you shaking my head.
One guy I really like on that Florida roster, and Zach, this is to your point, it doesn't improve the Ducks at all. But it's a guy that I really like. I really like Evan Rodriguez. I think he changes a team.
I almost said he was going to be a Duck.
Well, he changes your third and fourth line. And Zach, you mentioned it. The Ducks don't need to change their third and fourth line, but I do think it's an improvement to their third, fourth line. And he's at 2.5 for the next, $3 million the next 2 years. Like, that's a guy I'd kind of jump on. I really like Evan Rodriguez. And that's just a name that came, based on Jack's comments.
No, I think, like I said, I think even if you got, when I was talking about the free agent options, if there's places to add or improve or change, it is down to the third and fourth lines. Just to, if you make the roster completely balanced in that way, where there isn't, you can roll out your third line against another team's second line or first line even, and not be so hung up about it, that improves the team overall. But in terms of making them pieces for the long term, it's not there. So no. I'd be curious to see how it works, but then you are getting to a point where there's not spots for guys to be, including guys that you have in your system. And now, what do you do with Sam Colangelo, for example? If you get Rodriguez, then you're going to get rid of one of your fourth line winger spots, because then you're going to have to either knock down Killorn or Vetrano, and Alex Killorn doesn't want to be playing on the fourth line and things like that. So then you get a little bit messier when you get to that point. So, and
the Ducks don't have a lot of roster flexibility between being able to send guys to San Diego anymore, right? There's a
lot of guys that are no longer waiver eligible. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
Like Hellison, for example, is no longer waiver eligible. So he can't go back down. Like if one of these young San Diego defensemen earn a spot, there isn't going to be a way to move this easily. Yeah.
There is an odd thing, and baseball has it too, with the scrappy bench guy, but how much we really like third line wings. I don't get why it's a thing, but I feel like everyone has these third line wings that they absolutely love. I'm one of those. Evan Rodriguez, Brandon Tanev, Anthony Beauvillier, love those guys. I don't know why. Nick Dowd,
Sammy Paulson and Travis Moen,
Yeah, no, why do we love these guys? it's like, oh, game changer. Love them. They're really not, but love Evan Rodriguez. He's on my list of man crush third line wingers, I guess is the way I would put it. Whatever it is. So, any last thoughts here, guys? We've talked. We've got a few things we're going to touch on that I'm going to throw your way that you were not expecting. But we talked Angels trade deadline, Angels draft, Ducks contract extensions, and Ducks what else they need to do. Any thoughts before we jump into some mayhem?
Do you have any Ducks schedule thoughts?
No.
It jumps out to you about the schedule.
Whenever they play Philly at home, I guess.
It's not till March.
I saw. Yeah, that was one. That was a weird one.
March 8th.
I might go to that game. I've got a Philly jersey my wife can spot. I might go as a partaker on that one. Like, whatever. Yeah. I want to see the reaction to what Trevor Zegras. It's not Trevor's fault, and Trevor's the first one to admit, But
it'll be very interesting because you'll be.
How many Zegras jerseys are going to be?
Oh yeah.
What's that, Jack? Sorry.
How many Zegras jerseys are going to be worn from both teams?
Yeah, right. It's not like he's
of the crowd.
It's not one of those things where like he's returning and it's like, oh, this guy had a Hall of Fame career with our team, and it's like the video tribute and everything. It's like, no, he was good. He was really good, and he's still.
He's going to get a video tribute.
He will, 100%.
I mean, he's a fan favorite.
It'll just be the Michigans on loop. Yep.
That's it.
And the alley-oop pass.
That's the two that are going to happen. So, any other? I don't know. Duck schedule.
A lot of back-to-backs.
When does Vancouver come to town, buddy?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I don't register the Canucks.
Yeah, that's fine. that wasn't in this. That wasn't in the story. That wasn't part of the press release.
No, it's on the list, but
Yeah.
Not really a final thought, but
somewhere.
The Black Friday matinee, my favorite game every year.
That'll be fun.
And that'll be Corey Perry's first time back in Anaheim as a King.
Oh, jeez.
Actually.
I didn't even think of that.
I'll give you that.
I didn't
that
think
one
of
actually
that.
sounds fun.
Yep.
The
Kings put out their jersey numbers yesterday. Perry wearing 10 again, and it was just like,
that's the first time he's worn 10 since leaving, right? Or was he 10 in no, he wasn't 10 in Dallas. No, he was like.
Was he 10 in
9.
Tampa?
He was 10 in Dallas he was 10.
No, in Dallas he was 90.
Yeah, he was 90.
Oh, you're right. I'm trying to think of him walking out of the stadium. Sorry.
I know. Yeah, in the Winter
So
Classic.
I was like, I swear it was a 10. There was a 0 at the end somewhere.
I love the video of him walking out.
No, he was 10 in Dallas. You're right.
Yeah, he was 10 in Dallas, right?
Yeah.
And Tampa. I didn't even know that.
And Tampa. Yeah.
That video is an internal memory, man. I knew it was a 10.
He finally gets to play in a Winter Classic, and he's like kicked out in the first 5 minutes. It was.
He didn't.
I love the video of him walking out, and then it's just Boulevard of Broken Dreams. He's like, I walk alone this empty road.
Very, very long walk.
Yeah.
God, that's awesome. Is the Stadium Series wasn't part of the Winter Classic, right?
Nope.
The Dodger Stadium one.
Nope. That was Stadium Series, not Winter
Stadium
Classic.
Series. Yeah.
Did you guys go to that?
Yeah, I did.
Yep,
I
did
did not.
too. Loved it.
Yeah,
It was
sat along the third base line.
Where? I was upper deck, third base. I was upper deck.
I was at the top, like the top of the lower deck, so like underneath the overhang.
Okay, I was 400, 500 section, whatever that is.
Yeah,
I saw downtown LA is with it, so
it was the best seat you could possibly. The thing with putting these things in baseball stadiums, there's not a really good seat to actually watch the game itself. So I feel like it was the best possible place to actually see the game, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
it was more the experience of the whole thing.
Dodger Stadium press box would be okay for that, but just okay.
But even still, you're so far away.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
I love the whole. It was a fun event. Loved the event. The game was whatever, right?
I mean, it was a 3-0
3-0
victory.
3-0 shutout. Does that sound right?
Jonas Hiller on the shutout. Corey Perry, right. The game-winning goal. Yeah.
Did first goal. Yes. All right. We're going to, before we close out, we're going to play a game. And this is a game that I used to play with other Angels beat writers, and it never really went well. So I mean, like, they didn't win. No one won. So I'm changing it up. Before I get into this, how into country music are the three of you guys? Like, do you guys like country music?
No, not
No?
really.
Jack, no?
Not really,
Zach, are you a country music fan? Speaking of fan, can we mute?
Speaking of fan,
I know like up until maybe 2005 is probably when I stopped.
This game's gonna be great. Then this is gonna work out so well. The game is called "Is That Person a Country Music Artist, a NASCAR Driver, or an Angels minor leaguer?"
Oh God.
Yeah, great game. For the rules, you have to guess what the person's job is based solely on their name. You have 3 candidates. 1 is in each field. You have to guess. Now, none of these people are mainstream artists, top prospects, or top series drivers. I will let the 3 of you combine your thoughts on all of this and see what you guys get right. It's a fun game.
I'm begging for Joshua Lugo.
Right? Well, okay, so I'm going to give you 3 names. You guys decide who is the country artist, who is the NASCAR driver, and who is the Angels minor leaguer. So
are these current Angels minor leaguer, or are
all these are current? All current in their field.
Cool.
So I'm going to give you Ben Thompson, Andres Perez, and Braxton Keith.
Andres Perez seems way too obvious to be the Angels minor leaguer.
Thomas, you got to turn down your fan. Yeah. So the 3 of you figure out between Braxton Keith, Ben Thompson, Andres Perez. You don't have to turn it off, Thomas. Just have to turn it down.
Braxton Keith.
Braxton Keith sounds like a country artist.
That sounds country.
That sounds country, but it sounds too obvious.
Yeah. So hold on.
I'll give you just
like
to give
Andres Perez.
Just to give you guys an idea, I did the same thing, but I added a Yellowstone character as another option, and it was Jackson Dean. Is Jackson Dean a country artist, a NASCAR driver, a minor leaguer, or a character on Yellowstone?
Yeah, see that's country artist to me.
It is, but you know Jackson Dean is a country artist. But still,
I didn't know that he was. But
most people didn't either. Most people thought it was a NASCAR driver.
Okay, so say the names again. I gotta write them down to stare at them.
Okay, Andres Perez, Ben Thompson, Braxton Keith.
I think Andres Perez is going to be the NASCAR driver.
Yeah, I think that's in there to throw you off of like, he's obviously Hispanic, so therefore he'd be the baseball player.
I'm going country artist for Andres Perez.
I don't know. I feel like that's
I love this
NASCAR.
game. I love this game.
Braxton Keith is just such a country name.
I know, like there's no way a Braxton is nothing.
What was the third guy again? I already forgot his name.
I don't know though. Braxton Keith
Thompson.
could be a baseball
Ben
player.
Thompson.
Ben Thompson sounds like a baseball name.
Yeah.
Can I play a clip of the country artist? Do you think it would help?
It's not going to help.
It's not going to help, but you can play it.
Unless all of a sudden it's like mariachi country, and then we'll be like, oh, Andres Perez.
That's whoa, hey now.
Hey
now.
I'm just saying.
Wow.
Oh, we just got canceled.
Yeah, that's what. Speaking of, hey, on that note, while you guys are thinking about this, much love and respect for freedom of speech. Trey Parker, Matt Stone, love you guys. Keep doing what you do.
Fantastic.
Absolutely loved every bit of what happened on Wednesday. You guys are legends.
Fantastic.
Freedom of speech. Love every bit of it.
Cash that check and send that episode in.
It's the greatest. Oh, God. They're done. They're done. Loved it. Absolutely great way to go out.
That was awesome send off.
Yeah, I'm going to mute myself while I play this off.
Okay. My pick right now would be Braxton Keith NASCAR. Or not, Braxton Keith Country.
Yep.
Andres Perez NASCAR.
Yep.
Ben Thompson Baseball.
Yep. That's what I'm feeling too. That's what I'm feeling.
Yeah. Thomas, are you in agreement with that?
We have to agree before we send it in, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Andres Perez could be country, man. I feel like Taylor's really throwing a curveball at us on purpose.
That's why I think he's NASCAR.
Taylor had to do research for this because they're not.
Oh no, I didn't have to do any research at all. This just was straight to the top.
You know second tier NASCAR drivers.
It could have been first tier NASCAR driver, and I still wouldn't get it.
I could see him knowing it. Yeah.
See, okay. Thomas, you have to agree with the other two, and then I'll explain why I did what.
All right, I'll agree.
All right. I used to use Daniel Suarez as the NASCAR driver, but Daniel Suarez has been winning lately. So that's why I haven't used it, because
that wouldn't help me either way.
but no, Daniel Suarez, you don't expect Suarez to be the
Right.
NASCAR driver, right? You
Yeah,
expect him to be the pitcher in the low minors.
Sure.
So, yes, Andres Perez is the
Right.
NASCAR driver, currently running AAA, AA NASCAR. Bryson Keith.
He's a country artist?
I thought I hit the chorus for a second. Love it.
So we went 3 for 3.
He is essentially a discount version of Zach Top. And yeah, Ben Thompson striking out a crap ton of dudes with Inland Empire. You guys didn't even think of who Ben Thompson was. The guy that actually matters, the Angels minor leaguer, the guys that you cover. Yeah. So striking out a crap ton of guys just with a fastball down in Inland Empire. Great guy. Awesome dude. We're going to play that game again. We're going to do it. It's just going to be strictly Jackson Dean. So,
Yeah.
Zach, you didn't know that Jackson Dean was a country artist?
No.
But
I didn't
if I
know
told
either.
you that Jackson Dean was a pitcher in the Nationals farm system, would you believe it?
Sure.
And if I told you that Jackson Dean was a character on Yellowstone?
Also would probably believe it, yeah.
And if I told you that Jackson Dean was a NASCAR driver that drove for Richard Childress Racing?
I mean, sure. He sounds
Exactly. That's why
he sounds
you
like a
use
Tennessee
that
white
name.
guy. Like
That's
it's,
exactly. That's why
yeah.
you use that name.
He crosses into the Venn diagram.
Yeah. I can't. Gosh, it was.
If I told you Taylor Ward was a baseball player, a hockey player, or a podcaster, what would you pick? Yeah.
100%. Exactly. Any random white guy name you can just run with. So, on that note, let's close it out. Weekend plans. Zach Kavanaugh, what do you got going on, man?
I'm seeing Fantastic Four this evening.
Awesome.
Did
What?
some stuff during the week where I watched all the previous Fantastic Four films to varying degrees of success. Most of them not good. So
Go
looking
ahead,
forward to tonight.
Awesome. One last thing. I forgot it was in our notebooks. Congratulations to Jesse Chavez. Retired from professional baseball. 18 years in the big leagues, 14 years service time, made $25 million over his career. Just wanted to send that out there. I know I put it in our notes, our script. Really, really good guy. Last I checked, he had other guys living in his house. Guys that played for the Angels still living at his house because he lives locally. Absolutely love Jesse Chavez. So just had to send that out there. Sorry, Zach. Enjoy Fantastic Four.
Hopefully it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow.
Part 3 of our Fantastic Four. Jack James, what are you doing this weekend? Are you going to Reno or Arizona or Vegas or
No, I go back
or-
to
or
Arizona.
Monaco?
I go back to Arizona August 8th for Chris Stapleton concert.
Ooh.
But no, I'll be home. I got a cousin's birthday party Saturday. I'm going to the OC Fair Sunday, so it'll be a fun weekend.
Good deal. Was George Strait playing the Chris Stapleton concert?
Surprisingly, they don't even have an opener listed.
Gotcha.
So who knows?
Yeah, they just played SoFi, George Strait, Little Big Town, and Chris Stapleton, and had some friends that went. So very jealous. So Tommy Lee Murray, what's going on this weekend for you, pal?
Yeah, Zach enjoyed Fantastic Four. I loved it. It was a good movie. It was nice to see justice for them. I have my niece bugging us to go to Disneyland tomorrow, so we're gonna take my 3-year-old niece and my 1-year-old niece to Disneyland, and then I'm gonna play some college football video game and cover the Angels on Sunday.
Gotcha. I think I've got some stuff too. Just breaking news as we conclude here to add to the Anaheim Ducks stuff. The Anaheim Ducks have loaned goaltender Damian Clara and center Lukas Pettersson to Brynäs of the Swedish Hockey League for the 2025-26 season.
They'll be teammates with Jakob Silfverberg.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that is breaking news here at 11:30 and the end of our episode.
Which means Damian Clara not a San Diego goal this year.
No.
At least to start.
So, yeah. Weekend plans. I've got baseball. I'm covering baseball for the Sporting Tribune, no matter if it is Inland Empire Sixers or Angels, that is TBD, pending assignments in the next couple hours here. So that is where we're at with that. And yeah. Oh, Kangaroo Court, real quick. Guys, what kind of prospect rankings do we use? Jack, when you were talking about ranking prospects, which outlet do you use? There's only one proper response here.
Baseball, Sporting Tribune?
Well, Sporting Tribune is great, but go with the first one.
Baseball America.
Yep, there you go. So Thomas says $5 in the swear jar, part of Kangaroo Court, for using MLB Pipeline. Respect to Jim Callis and Jonathan Mayo, very good friends. Jim Callis, obviously a Hall of Famer, but we use Baseball America here, son.
MLB Pipeline's a very easy to navigate website. I won't hear that slander.
I love Callis. I love Mayo.
Hey,
friends.
What comes up first. It's what comes up first in the Google search.
Oh, dude,
make it available.
Damn, it is available. It's available. Damn.
Don't you have to pay?
I'm out of here. Screw this. All right, you guys can follow Zach Cavan on Twitter. Zach Cav, ZACHCAV. You can follow Jack Janes at Jack Janes _ You can follow Thomas Murray at Thomas_L_Murray. You can follow me at Taylor Blake Ward. You can find my work at Baseball America and also the Sporting Tribune. You can follow the Sporting Tribune at Sporting Trib. And on that note, I don't even know if I have paper here. Go, whatever that is. We're out of here. Call it a weekend. See you, everybody.